Putin has likely gone into hiding in his bunker again after his latest stunt against NATO backfired horrendously. You see, Russia wanted NATO to turn against Ukraine and blame them for attacks against NATO bases. But Putin's ally Belarus actually turned on Russia and ruined Putin's plan. Now things are falling apart for the Russian dictator from all angles, and Putin is hiding in a windowless office. I'm not joking. Here's the newest report that says that Putin is working out of an office underground with no windows. But of course, he doesn't want the Russian citizens to know that their dear leader is running around the country scared. So he has built the exact same office with the same furniture and same background in 3 different regions of Russia. That way, if he has to run from a Ukrainian drone attack, he can just go to a different region and make a video statement without the public finding out that he's running around like a scared little man. So let's look at how Putin got here. I'm not talking about his horrendous decision to launch this invasion. I'm talking about what he did 2 nights ago. Here we have the details from none other than the Polish foreign minister. Last night, Poland's airspace was breached 19 times by drones manufactured in Russia. The assessment of Polish and NATO air forces is that they did not veer off course, but were deliberately targeted. The Polish Air Force, assisted by our allies from the Netherlands, Italy, and Germany, shot them down. Property was damaged, but fortunately, nobody was injured. As Prime Minister Donald Tusk reminded us this morning, even though NATO is not at war, Russian aggression strikes beyond Ukraine. Now, before we even get into what Russia claims happened, let me tell you guys a couple of things. First of all, 19 drones don't accidentally go into your enemy's airspace. This was deliberate. If you need more proof of that, let me just show you where some of these drones struck. One of the drones actually crashed right into a Polish military base south of Warsaw. So unfortunate for Russia that one of their drones just veered off course and decided to crash right into a military base. But this wasn't even the worst thing, because some of the drones actually hit innocent citizens inside Poland, a peaceful country that's not at war with Russia. Here we have images of the damage, and it's extensive. As you can see from these images, people just sleeping in their houses were hit. Again, just to remind everyone, this happened at 2 a.m. Polish time when people were sleeping, and Russia wanted to get them in their sleep. Now, as if this wasn't bad enough, the drone parts that were recovered after they crashed into Poland show that these drones had additional fuel tanks, almost as if Russia wanted these drones to travel further than normal. This was all deliberate, planned, and a strategic move. We can also tell this by just looking at how Russian bots responded on social media as soon as this attack was launched. They quickly started blaming Ukraine. This is unlikely to be Russia. It makes no logical sense why they would do it. It's much more likely that Ukraine is doing a false flag with captured Shahed drones to rally support and sympathy. That makes a whole lot of sense. Now let me break down this 200 IQ argument. How does it make sense that Ukraine is going to attack a military base that's supplying Ukraine with vital defense equipment that Ukraine is using to defend its own citizens? That makes no sense to me. But this is where I want to point out an important lesson one more time. The point of Russian propaganda is not for you or me to believe the Russian side of the story. No, they actually want you to believe nothing. That's why they put out so many lies that just make no sense. But the goal is to just have people give up. They don't want people thinking about what's happening, why it's happening. They want people to think, oh, it's all just the same, everyone's lying. Now, this lie that Russia started pushing on social media, right as the attack was going on, was very deliberate and very coordinated, because it wasn't just Russian bots that were lying. It was also Russian influencers and the Russian embassy. You see, as the attack was ongoing, the Polish Foreign Ministry reached out to the Russian embassy for an answer like, "What the hell are you doing? Are you starting a war with NATO?" And the Russian embassy said that these were not their drones. Well, guess what? This was quickly proven to be a lie by none other than Russian ally Belarus. That's where the drones came from, and that's where Russia is starting a new exercise tomorrow. And the goal of this exercise is to practice the invasion of Poland. That's a whole different thread that we'll talk about later. But first, let's get into Belarus's statement that just exposes the Russian lie. During the night exchange of strikes by unmanned aerial vehicles between the Russian Federation and Ukraine, the duty forces and means of air defense of the Republic of Belarus constantly monitored unmanned aerial vehicles, which lost their course as a result of the impact of the anti-aircraft defense forces in our country on the territory of the Republic. According to the existing channels of interaction, from 23 hours on September 9th to 4 a.m. on September 10th, our duty forces and means exchanged information about the air and radar situation with the duty forces and means of Poland and the Lithuanian Republic, thereby informing them about the approach of unknown aircraft to the territory. This allowed the Polish side to react quickly to the actions of the drones. You see, my parents taught me this lesson when I was a kid. Basically, you do not want to lie because then you have to keep lying to make sure all your lies line up. When Russia decided to lie about its drone attack against Poland, it let its bots know. It let its embassy know. It let its influencers know. But it forgot to tell Belarus. And Belarus was like, hey, these drones went off course, so we let Poland know. All the while, Russia was telling the world that these weren't our drones. It's Ukraine who's attacking Poland. Well, this is when the Russian lies started to fall apart, and things started backfiring for Putin, because Poland quickly activated NATO's Article 4. Now, before we get into the Article 4 details, let me tell you how Russia dealt with being exposed in front of the world. The Russian lie just kept changing. First, it was just a drone, not a military drone according to the Russians. Then we found out it was a military drone and it was armed. So Russia was like, we did not send it intentionally and it's just one. Then we found out it was more than 15 drones. In fact, Poland confirmed they took down 19 drones. You don't accidentally send 19 drones to a peaceful country if you did not want a response. And that's exactly what Russia got. Because at the end of the day, these drones did real damage. Here I have another picture that we got this morning. This is Poland, not Ukraine. Important to point out, Poland has a much larger GDP per capita than Russia. I don't think Russia can afford to mess with the Polish military. NATO activated Article 4 of the North Atlantic Treaty at the request of Poland following last night's attack from Russian drones. Article 4 directs the North Atlantic Council to begin immediate defense and military consultations for emergencies or situations of urgency when the territorial integrity, political independence, or security of the parties is threatened. Now, clearly, Russia was not expecting this. Putin was not expecting this. That's why he has gone into hiding. But even the Russian media is saying that this could lead to war between Russia and NATO. And that's something Putin cannot afford, especially with the way his economy is going. Because at the end of the day, you need three things to win a war: money, money, money. Poland alone has a better GDP per capita than Russia. Russia doesn't have the money to fight Poland. Russia doesn't have the money to fight NATO. This is exactly why this is what the Russian media is saying. Following Wednesday's drone incursion into Poland, the headline in this morning's news reflects the drama of the situation. Russia and NATO come dangerously close to a direct clash. European officials accuse Moscow of a deliberate provocation over the drones that flew into Poland. But Russian newspapers, particularly the ultra-pro-Kremlin ones, paint a very different picture. As so often happens when Moscow is accused of something, especially by the West, Russia turns things around and accuses the accuser. So you also see the word provocation in the Russian papers today. But they accuse Ukraine of doing the provoking. For example, Moskovsky comes out saying something flew into Poland. It's not exactly clear what. And even if it's kind of clear, it's not clear why. The only question to which there is an answer is the key one: who sets to gain? The main beneficiary of this latest furor on a global scale is Zelensky. The Ukrainian authorities have been trying to get the West to participate directly in hostilities with Russia, virtually since the start of the special military operation, Russia's war in Ukraine. YouTube just dropped a mind-boggling announcement. It is paying creators $64 million per day. Why? Well, because YouTube doesn't have enough creators. That is why you see videos on your homepage that have less than 1,000 views, like this one right here. Now, of course, this doesn't mean that everyone should start a channel. But if you have ever wondered about starting a YouTube channel or a faceless channel, now is a perfect time. YouTube is paying creators millions of dollars every single day, and it's pushing newer and smaller channels now more than ever. But I'm sure you have many questions on how to start and grow a channel.